Long story short, I ended up having to leave. And so, for me in that moment, even though I knew that things would change financially and how we go about doing things, it never really, it never really came across to me as though I am failing or I was failing. I never really saw it that way, and I've never seen it that way. It's March 17. How you doing? I hope you're well. Welcome back to my 7-day birthday countdown series. Now you can go ahead and check out yesterday's video, a very, very simple video of my daughter and I taking a walk and me just doing a little reflection of Psalm 90 and giving a reminder of the fact that we ought to number our days and apply our hearts unto wisdom. Now today we're going to be talking about measures of success in our society. Now I know this may vary depending on the culture or the society in which you grew up or you live in or you honor. Truth is, a lot of societies, at least in the Western world, we focus on career success, financial prosperity, perhaps a huge following on social media as prime markers of success. No, I'm not saying you are wrong for doing that or we are wrong for doing that, because I am a part of the society. Not that I agree with every single thing, but it really brings a lot of pressure on people. And we don't always admit it, but it's true. There's expectation that you go to school, you do well academically, and you end up being a doctor, lawyer, teacher. Even if you end up being someone who is of the creative industries, like musician, a singer, an artist. So artist different from the artiste. If you don't make it really, really big, dog nyam your super. I mean, you'll be looked at as a failure. First of all, you took a route or a route that is unconventional. How can you be deemed successful if you're not dressed like me and sitting in an office being bossed around by somebody, or perhaps enjoying it? But those are the expectations that bring so much pressure on people, I believe, and we don't want to admit it, but it's true. Anyways, so let's take a look at career success. So you go to basic school, as it is in Jamaica, then primary school, what they call elementary, high school. The hope is that you will move on to tertiary education at the tertiary level, so that's a college or university. Of course, the money is spent, and so you'll be expected to get out and get a good job. Now, this is where the dilemma begins. There aren't enough jobs for those of us who are graduating. It's really the truth. There may be jobs, but definitely not always in your field of study, right? I studied for my first degree, well, both my degrees were government degrees. My first degree was in international relations. You can have so much and no more diplomat and whatever else. Now, I have grown to learn that there are many other career paths you can take with different degrees. However, we aren't being trained in that way. That's not what, I don't think so, right? And so a lot of times what happens is that you graduate and then you end up going into a field you weren't necessarily trained in, right? But then there's the on-the-job training that works. I think it's really just to train your mind and to really, cement some skills and thought processes in your brain, things you will need for the future. Because everybody, I think, is able to work in certain fields as long as you are trainable, right? I mean, of course, you can just take up yourself and go be a doctor or a lawyer. And that is not expected of someone who goes into the teaching field either. Even though you may find that, if you did well in certain subject areas, you may be considered for certain teaching jobs. However, I know that they are encouraging and a lot of schools, or most of them, if not all, are strict on the policy that you must have a teaching diploma, which I agree with. So I agree and I understand. The point I'm trying to make is that there's so much pressure that's put on people that if they if the thought even comes to them to say, let me take a different route, there is such a mental pressure or mental load that's on them to say, am I letting down my parents? Am I letting down my community? Am I letting down my church? Whatever the case may be. And I think it's because there is I wouldn't say a universal definition of success, because once again, I think it has to do with the culture and the society within which you have been groomed, or you grew up in, or you honor. But let's just speak to the Western world, right? It is only in the last few years that we have come around to accepting, career paths like in social media, and we still have a long way to go in terms of the creative industries, at least in Jamaica. Funnily enough, it is those aspects of the creative industries that really has put us on the map. It's crazy. But anyways, it really has a lot to do with the definition of success on a wider scale, and so we have taken that on as societies, as communities, as individuals, and it's a lot of load. And so I think I can speak from both angles, in the sense that I have worked within the corporate world. I have gone on to work within a space that required me to dress like this. I have gone on to work in a space that allowed me to work from home while I cared for my young daughter. And I have gone through a phase, or I have experienced, and I can also speak to not being formally employed, earning but not being formally employed. I can also speak to not earning, a period in my life where I'm not earning. And I strongly believe that if you aren't at that place where you really have that personal definition of success, it can mash you up. And so I'm so happy that years ago I developed a definition for myself, something I think you should do too, because I also believe that sometimes we forget that there are seasons in life, and these seasons ought to be appreciated for what they are and what they do for you as an individual. Each time they appear, each time you experience them. And there are a lot of people who have gone through depression because of these pressures, because of these expectations. And I'm not saying there shouldn't be a marker for success. I'm just saying that you can define it for yourself, as long as you are being fulfilled, as long as you are able to achieve your goals, as long as you have clothes to wear, you have food to eat, you have a shelter over your head. And even if you don't have all of those things are working towards that, right? You have something in place that you're working towards. It doesn't have to look like what the other person's journey looks like, or their season looks like, right? So it's really honing your own and defining success for yourself. Now, I don't even want to go into the whole motherhood aspect of it, because if you know me, you know how passionate I am about defining success when it comes to motherhood. Because I'm somebody who, even though this was somewhat by default, because I had my daughter during the COVID period, and so at the time I would have gone back to work, we were just getting used to dealing with a global pandemic. And so, long story short, I ended up having to leave. And so, for me in that moment, even though I knew that things would change financially and how we go about doing things, it never really came across to me as though I'm failing or I was failing. I never really saw it that way. And that's the other thing too, your life experiences can really alter how you see things. Because I promise you that there are certain decisions I don't believe I will ever make. I'm not perfect and things may change down the road. But when it comes to my child, when it comes to the little human that we have been blessed with and given the grand responsibility to help to groom and to carry in this life, there are certain things that are non-negotiable to me. I don't care how you may look at me. If you want to say, oh, is Shadel that so and so and so, it doesn't matter to me. As long as my daughter is happy, she's fed, she is learning how she's supposed to, she is growing, developing, she's in a safe space. That's it for me. So it really doesn't matter. It's not that I'm saying my success doesn't matter, but for me, much of my success, a lot of what I deem as success surrounds that as well. So it really doesn't mean that I should do away with what is important to me, or that I don't have goals, and that I never ever want to be that career woman or whatever the case may be. But I'm just saying, when you become a mother, a parent, it alters your brain. It causes you to think differently, right? So it may mean that you may want to reconsider the type of job you have, or how you do your job, or to try to explore whether you're able to do your job differently. Keep your job, but do it differently so that you're able to do what you want to do concerning motherhood. No, that really looks that looks different for everybody, right? I have friends who would say they could never ever be a stay-at-home mom. I have friends who say I have to go out to work, and there is value in all of those points, because each person knows what they need, each person knows what serves them, each person knows that what keeps them sane. And so that is why I think, like so many other things in life, we ought to have a personal, a customized definition of what success is for us, for you, for me. Something that it doesn't matter what anybody else says, not that it's not going to affect you any at all, or cause it to rethink or cause it to ponder, but you know within yourself that this is what success means, and you are holding on to that. No, it's really difficult, especially in the Western world, to live like that because of all the pressures, right? With all the pressure that social media comes with all the pressure that families bring on to you and communities. But I want to encourage you to define success for yourself. I want to encourage you to find friends or a village that really helps you and supports you on those journeys. I want to encourage you to just create that for you. As long as God is pleased with your life, you are happy and content. I mean, of course it matters to me what my mother thinks, or well, is that important to you. And if there's something that is, weighing on your heart, discuss it with the person or the persons who are dearest to you. But you really have no obligation to the world. You have no obligation to anybody else to really live up to their standards. Yes, it is good when you can live and set an example. So like small rural communities like mine, I know there are young girls who possibly look on or look up to me, and that's great. And while I want to be able to show them certain things, while I would want to be able to reflect a certain lifestyle, or reflect, certain things that they can emulate, I want to also let them know that it's important for them to be well mentally, to be content, to be able to think independent of anybody else's opinion, to be able to make their own decisions, to be able to think critically. That, I think, is most important.
Ladies and gentlemen,
this segment of the video is brought to you by CTLPA, the Caribbean Tertiary Level Personnel Association. The Caribbean Tertiary Level Personnel Association is the prime association in the region that facilitates the growth and development of student services personnel in tertiary level institutions. Now, I have been a part of this organization for quite a while. It served me well. It is serving me well as I'm still a part of it, and I'm happy to share that the organization has planned and is looking forward to its annual regional conference to be held in Barbados this year. That's June 18 to 21. So check out the website. That's www.myctlpa.org. You'll see all the information there. You may also send an email to ctlpahq gmail.com. And I'm here. I'm a little busy because I'm checking out my package that I got from last year's conference. This is the beautiful bag. Really nice. I love the quality. This was our handbook for last year's conference that was held in Tobago. That was nice. Photos there. Really nice. Some of the things you can look forward to are presentations by different professionals within the region and also North America. So we get the chance to really understand what student affairs is like within other regions, and that can help us in our discourse as well. So this was a really nice package for the Tobago conference last year. I am sure that the Barbados conference is going to be awesome. Well, it is the regional conference, but it will be hosted in Barbados this year. That's June 18 to 21, 2025.
Invest in your professional development today.
Thank you so much for chatting with me. I would love to hear your comments. I know I spoke about a lot of things today. I'm just hoping something jumped out at you. Something was there that you're able to relate to. All I'm saying is it's really important for you to be able to find success for yourself. And even if it is guided by some school of thought that has helped to groom you, I believe it's important for you to be able to define one for yourself. And so I hope you have the courage to do that, because I promise you, it is freeing, it is liberating. And so don't be fooled by the fact that I'm dressed like this now. I can appreciate dressing like this. I can appreciate going to an office to work, but I can also appreciate taking another route, because life is a journey. As my late grandfather used to say, life is a journey. Yeah, I just have to find ways to maneuver it. And your way may not be my way. My way may not be your way. But guess what? Defining success and happiness for ourselves make a huge difference. Remember, as long as God is pleased, that's the most important thing. Then you can think of who else. Who else is that important for you to consider? I'm done for today. Seems like something may have gone wrong with my microphone, so I'm really hoping you were able to hear me properly today. I won't be able to fix this week, and I'm trying to do this for the next few days leading up to my birthday. So comment below and let me know if you're able to hear me. Of course, obviously, if you were, that's why you'd be able to comment. But thank you so much for stopping by. It's a beautiful day to be alive, right now?
And subscribe.
And subscribe, as my daughter said. If you choose to, that's fine. But more importantly, I hope you're able to relate to something or share a comment. And
Comment down below.
And let's keep the conversation going. So, peace, love, joy, contentment, and remember.
And pray the Lord.
Yes, and pray to the Lord. Remember, God loves you. I'll see you tomorrow, March 18.
Yes.
God's will. Bye, guys.
Subscribe.